Okay. No introduction needed. You pretty much know who this is. And I'm back with another video. Now, I could see why two teams in one division in baseball next season may be among the top two most exciting teams in baseball and what we're gonna look forward to next season. And there's a lot to come with it. On paper, for both teams, legitimate threats to win a World Series, to make deep playoff runs, to have a chance to go repeat, become a dynasty, all that shit. And if years of rebuilding pay off, and if years of rebuilding your farm system and stay competitive pay off, which caps off with a World Series win down the stretch, then you know you're bound for a huge amount of success for the next decade onwards. Mostly, hopefully. So, yeah. And the reason I say that is because in the National League West, oh my God, I am seriously looking forward to see what the Dodgers and the Padres are going to have to offer for us next season. Because now the Padres, they're not messing around anymore. They're coming for the Dodgers' throat, not only as the best team in baseball, not only as National League West Division champions, not only as National League champions, but also as World Series champions. They're coming for the Dodgers right now, I swear to God. And as a Dodger fan, I'm nervous as hell, but only time will tell and how it pays off in the long run. Because it all matters on how it can affect your team long term and how you're able to go about it and how you're able to execute things properly for you to make a really great postseason run. You know? Now, the reason I'm making all these points, is because yesterday, while I was at work, and it wasn't until I got on my lunch when I checked it out, it was when the San Diego Padres made another blockbuster trade, sending some of their top prospects. That does not include their top four. They're smart on that, like the Dodgers approach. Without surrendering any of their top four prospects, but like the fifth one all the way down, some in the top 30, they sent those prospects to the Chicago Cubs in exchange for all-star pitcher Yu Darvish and his personal fellow catcher, Victor Martini, I think, or Maratini. Something like that. I apologize if I mispronounce his last name. I'm just still trying to get that right, but I do know his first name is Victor. Last name Maratini or Martini, something like that. I apologize for that. But yeah, Yu Darvish was the main piece. Of course, we all know, as baseball fans, we all know Yu Darvish, a multiple-time All-Star, and was the ace for the Texas Rangers for a good several years into his MLB career since he came overseas from Japan many years ago. Got traded to the LA Dodgers at the 2017 trade deadline. Lights out of National League. Helped the Dodgers reach the World Series for the first time since '88. But in the World Series against the Houston Astros, he got exposed in the worst way possible. But cheating scandals aside, that's what we all remember. Leaves the Dodgers, signs a massive contract with the Chicago Cubs. First 2 years were a big question mark. He had a horrible season. Then he had Tommy John surgery. Same thing with last season away, but he kind of showed signs of his old self once again. But then last season, this short pandemic season, he was phenomenal. He posted arguably the best season of his career with an ERA of just around 2, with 79 strikeouts and 30-some walks. So his best season of his career in Chicago last season. in which earned him just a second place finish for the run of the National League Cy Young Award as the best pitcher in the National League, right behind eventual winner Trevor Bauer, who was still a free agent and he played for the Cincinnati Reds last season. So, and with that, what seemed like a bloated contract heading into last season that nobody wants to touch became a really hot commodity after turning in arguably the best season of his career, and one that paid off expeditiously to help a team legitimately become a big-time World Series contender. I mean, of course, let's look at both sides of the trade. Now, for the Cubbies, after the way that last season ended for them and the way the last several years has been for them since that memorable and historic World Series win of 2016, things have not gone right in the Windy City. They really haven't. They really haven't. But they had some promise. They were still competing in a way, but just not on the level that we all was expecting them to. So, and after the way last season ended out, I mean, they did win the National League Central Division, but they had a hot start and they tumbled their way down the second half of the season. And embarrassingly enough, they got swept in 2 games in the wildcard series at the hands of the Miami Marlins, who wasn't even expected to even make the postseason in the first place. Because the Marlins had not made a postseason appearance since accidentally winning the World Series in 2003. And that was it. And somehow they got in because of this expanded playoff format that they had, and they swept the Cubs. I mean, my God. I mean, if you're like a team that was a World Series champion a couple years ago to get to this point, and then you got swept by arguably the most garbage team in baseball, I apologize to any Marlins fans, because that's what we all remember about them since that World Series win in 2003 for the last 2 decades. If you get swept by a team like the Marlins, you're bound to have a terrible future. And the fallout from the Cubs since then is that Theo Epstein resigned as president of baseball operations for Chicago, taking time off, and his successor would take on the new role. And some of their core players were on the trade market rumors for all of this offseason. Since the offseason began, they've been rumors of them getting shipped out to help their financial situations. Hence the reason why they didn't have good or spectacular off seasons in the last several years, because of them going over the top to spend money. You know? I mean, bad contracts like Jason Hayward and such. You know? They let John Lester walk, so his career in Chicago is pretty much done. And now they're trying to recoup that farm system that they pretty much gave up all away with all these trades that they made in the last several years for like Aroldis Chapman. Look at Gleyber Torres. He's shining in New York right now for the Yankees. Who else? Nick Castellanos and several other people that I remember. So they pretty much drained their whole farm system for several players in the last ensuing years, especially Jose Quintana and such. That's how it's been for Chicago since then, you know. And you're at least trying to recoup your farm system back on track and to cut financial restraints, especially with already 2 teams like the Yankees and the Philadelphia Phillies that have already lost a whole bunch of money in finances and revenue because of this whole pandemic, where fans can't even come to games. So, the Cubs had to do what's right and try to recoup that farm system back and try to possibly hit the restart button. And Yu Darvish was the first to go. So him and his catcher are going to the Padres, and for the Padres, this officially makes them a legitimate World Series contender. After a decade of dominance, shown to us by the Los Angeles Dodgers, which finally eclipsed them with a World Series win last season, their first since 1988. The Padres are now right on their heels. They made the playoffs. The Padres made the playoffs last season, their first postseason appearance since 2006, when you had a very young likes of Adrian Gonzalez, who was very young at the time and playing for them, surprisingly. And Bruce Bochy was the manager at that time, too. Yeah, their last postseason appearance was 2006, and hopefully eclipse the hump and take over as the best team in the National League. Probably not only in the division, but also in the National League itself. They want to dethrone the Dodgers. They want to prove themselves as like the best team in the league. Now, here's the background. Like I said, last postseason appearance since 2006. Haven't made the playoffs since then. It's been like an endless rebuild of epic proportions since then. I mean, you look at the trades that they had since the firing of their last general manager that pretty much hampered their future. Especially the Matt Kemp blunder that they pulled off with us years ago. Yeah, so we pretty much robbed them of their fortunes after that. And since then, they've been hitting prospect gold, trading away the likes of Craig Kimbrell, Brad Hand, and of course, I think Melvin Upton. Yeah, Melvin Upton and company. Like, every single player they took advantage of, they struck with gold. Pure, unimaginable gold. And for the last several years, they have boasted arguably the best farm system in all of baseball. Even out of the Dodgers, who were still competing, but yet had a young, very talented prospecting pool. That's how fluent they have been. And years of patience and proper rebuilding would finally pay off. I mean, you had the superstar emergence of Fernando Tatis Jr., their infield shortstop. The mega free agent acquisition of the dynamic third baseman Manny Machado, who left us in 2018 after we acquired him at the 2018 trade deadline from Baltimore, and then helped us make the World Series, only get dominated by the Red Sox. They signed him to a 10-year, $300 million contract for the Padres, and he's become one of their best players. Then, of course, the Padres added former World Series champion Eric Hosmer, who was the first all-star franchise first baseman for the Kansas City Royals, whom he would help the Royals win the World Series in 2015. So that's some World Series experience on his pedigree. And, of course, you have Will Myers, who's been there for like almost a whole decade, as we all remember. And now, as of this past season's trade deadline, they added Mike Clevinger, who was arguably the best pitcher available in the trade market. And they struck gold with Clevinger before he got hurt and missed the NLDS against the Dodgers due to a injury that forced him to have Tommy John surgery, which is going to force him to miss all of next season. And, of course, the Padres would end up getting swept in 3 games at the hands of the Dodgers, who were going to win the World Series last season. And now, in the span of 2 days since Sunday, they pulled off huge blockbuster trades that pretty much will set them for unprecedented amount of success for the next several years. And they did that without giving up any of their top 4 prospects. I mean, some of the prospects that they gave away were within MLB's pipeline of top 100 prospects. Some of them are in the top 30. And the Padres nailed that without giving them any of their top 4 prospects. They've struck gold. Because now, like I said, in the last 2 days, you have made huge additions that can help you get over the hump. On Sunday, you traded for former American League Cy Young Award winner and All-Star Blake Snell from the Tampa Bay Rays, whom the Dodgers beat to win the World Series. And we all saw how massive Snell was in the postseason and in the World Series against the Dodgers. And we all saw how He got unceremoniously pulled out in Game 6, which ultimately led to the Rays losing that series against the Dodgers. You traded for Blake Snell, and now yesterday you traded for Yu Darvish and his personal catcher to help him out. So yeah, with these two additions, and if Mike Clevinger comes back in 2022 healthy and ready to go, then hands down the Padres will, on paper, will easily have one of the best rotations in all of baseball. Easily. The best rotation in baseball. Now, of course, in terms of best right now, I would still give that nod to the Dodgers because they have Clayton Kershaw still in what is the final year of his contract this coming season. You have the young phenom in Walker Buehler, and you have David Price, who I don't even know what to expect from him since he opted out of last season due to COVID-19 concerns, and that's fine. You always got to think about your health, your safety, and your family safety, obviously. But I just don't know what to expect of him since he opted out. But hopefully he was working out and training to get better, But we'll see. So the Dodgers have the best rotation. You have Kershaw, Buehler, and Price. And you have two young arms in Tony Gonsolin and Dustin May, and another young arm in the resurgent Julio Urias. Now, you pretty much know about him. His great relief appearances in the postseason, especially that series clincher in Game 6 of the World Series to win it all for the Dodgers. I still think the Dodgers have the better rotation, but San Diego is pretty much caught up to them in that aspect. Because, bolster top 10, top 15 pitchers in Major League Baseball. Or rather, 3 of those guys are most likely in the top 10 right now. And Mike Clevinger, who we added at the trade deadline last season. Blake Snell, who you've added Sunday. And yesterday, getting Yu Darvish. I'm telling you right now, with those 3 guys anchoring the rotation, like I said, without Clevinger next season, but he'll be back in 2022. And once he comes back healthy, it's lights out for those guys. You have that. You have Fernando Tatis Jr. You had the great third baseman Manny Machado, who had an MVP caliber season last season. And you have Eric Hosmer, one of the best first basemen, in my view, one of the most underrated first basemen in MLB right now. And who also has that World Series pedigree in his resume. Like I said, he won a World Series in Kansas City years ago. And you have a deep lineup. So, hands down, without a shadow of a doubt, the Padres have now considered themselves a legitimate World Series contender. And I can't be more excited about how this season's going to play out. So, Yu Darvish is back in California, this time in San Diego. It's going to be like a epic battle like no other. So, yeah. And that's all I have for in today's video. Make sure to hit the like and subscribe button. If you like the video, like the video. If you like the video and want to see more of my content, hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell icon button where you keep updated with my daily videos. And let me know how you think about this move in the comment section. Like, do you think the Padres have gone themselves all in? Do you think they might have thrown the Dodgers? Or do you think the Dodgers still have the better edge over the Padres in general? So, let me know what you think. And that's all I have for today's video. I'm Nick Johnson, your favorite sports YouTube journalist, and I'm out. Peace. Oh my God.